Hello. So today we're going to have a session, maybe a little bit different from the other session because this is about peace building, and I'm going to be here as a moderator as well as a speaker, and I have my fellow colleagues Gunarakulan and Jayanthan here. Just let me check if we have the slides. Is it working? Okay, all good. So I think it's a good segue to the discussion what happened before moderated by Karan. And so the whole discussion is about how actually we can make an impact. You know, there's a question is a lot of people are talking about ESG, sustainability, regenerative future, but what is an actual impact? And that's what we're going to tell a little bit of story about us. And then we will go into a little bit details of the peace building process. Is a new form of peace building, digital peace building, and how circular economy in peace building is helping the underserved communities in the global south to solve their socio-economic and environmental challenge. There was a lot of discussion before, social problems, economic problem, environmental problem, differently, but here it's all about all in one place. So, is it there? Yeah. Okay, so DreamSpace Academy, we would love to tell, it's all goes back to our story, our personal story, but 3 decades of the war caused a huge damage in the country, socioeconomically and environmentally. As you can see that, in a country like Sri Lanka, there are a lot of international NGOs and international aid provided significant support, but they couldn't solve the fundamental challenges sustainably. Sri Lanka is not only the example, you would have heard about Afghanistan, what happened, 40 years of being there and providing international aid. Did we solve this fundamental problem? So at that moment, I decided that we would love to empower the youngsters to solve the local challenges themselves. So at that time, the DreamSpace Academy was formed as a non-profit social enterprise tackling socio-economic and environmental challenges through 3 pillars as education, innovation, and entrepreneurship. Not just one thing. In that, we are not only talking about education as a subject-based learning, we were actually working on challenge-based learning. From the challenge-based learning, we were creating grassroots innovation. From that grassroots innovation, we were spinning off startups and creating impact ventures. How do we do that? Yeah. So we will talk about that and why we want to do. As you see that everyone is talking about sustainable development goal, but we also wanted to go beyond sustainability as a regenerative future. And for that, we decided we need to first work with the underserved community and protect the environmental ecosystem and build, facilitate the peace building, which just all comes together. It's not like independent domains. As you can see here, we have 17 SDGs, and we have been one of the organizations working on many of these SDGs in Sri Lanka. Okay, how our empowerment process works. So it's a 5-stage process, so I will not go much detail into our, all these details. So basically what we do, we identify youngsters from the underserved community at a very young age, and we identify what challenge that they're going through. At that stage, we just start incubate them for 24 months, so the incubation starts. And we train them in challenge-based learning in any topics from storytelling to biotechnology, because as they said, hardware and software, we need to have so many other domains to solve our global problem. Even that's why we have been interdisciplinary, focused challenge-based education. And from there, we just look for, solutions, grassroots innovation, not a corporate innovation or something, to solve that particular challenge. And in the last stage, what we do, we spin them off. We build like ventures for them, either as for-profit or non-profit. These change makers at last become entrepreneurs to continue to create their sustainable impact through their organizations. So this is our incubation process. It takes around 24 months and to build a change maker. But we believe that if we are not only building a change maker, but we are building an industry in Sri Lanka so that in 15, 20 years, our youngsters, they don't have to go abroad for opportunities or even to seek asylum in those countries. They can create their regenerative future beyond sustainability in our country. Next. Next. Yeah, So quickly into our impact, it takes a lot of personalized empowerment. That's why in the last 5 years of operation, we have actually graduated or incubated 9 change maker. But of course, there are a lot of trainees in different programs, and we have spin off a lot of ventures, and as you can see that in innovation. And we are a big team, around 100 plus youngsters, working on anything from ocean conservation to women empowerment, rural empowerment, hate speech mitigation, peace building, building factories, sustainable, technologies, water, sanitation. So we have like a lot of projects from a lot of youngsters working on all the sectors of, sustainable development goal. And here we have 2 of our change maker whom we have incubated. So one is, I would say, as an intrapreneur, one is an entrepreneur. And here I will provide this, to Gunarakulan, who is going to speak more about peace building, but more on a digital peace building, why peace building is needed, and how it is different from the traditional peace building. And thank you.
Thank you. So hello everyone, so this is Gunarakulan, Gunaretnam from Sri Lanka. So now I'm going to talk about digital peace building and hate speech. So here how we use AI and technology to build digital peace building and what we are doing at DreamSpace Academy. So before I jump into the digital things and how we tackle hate speech mitigation using technology, I would like to give you some basic information about the peace. So peace is a state of mind of a human being or a group of people. So peace is an activity that connecting different communities together to form, to live in a common ground. So next, next, if we see how the peace is look in Sri Lanka, so Sri Lanka is it's a war-affected country. 30 years of war made a huge damage on people's mindsets and assets and economics. So this leads to some problems, like Sri Lanka lost their ability to innovate and things like that. So for that the war started. The war itself also started for an operation of the different communities, like operation of different communities. Some communities lost their free will and they have to depend on something. That's why it's also started. Then if we take the normal hate speech, there are a lot of hate speeches there, like gender-based and sexual orientation-based and like that. But when it comes to Sri Lanka, the race-based and the religion-based hate speech is it's the first priority one. Even if you see that in Sri Lanka, most of the time, the social media has been blocked by the government because of misinformation is sharing on the internet. Some people are typing, some people are commenting on their post, and some communities is try to react to that post, and it creates a huge community damages, and it destroys many people's mindsets and like that. So then, next slide. Okay, so if we take how we do peace. Okay, so now how we do peace building. So our way of doing peace building is completely different. And if you take that Sri Lanka is living in a container base, like the community is divided into a box, like Tamil, Sinhala, Muslim, and each community is living in their own containers. And what they have is within that container, like in a separate way. So how we do peace building is different because peace cannot be taught. We understand that we can't teach peace building or we can't teach peace. It should be realized, and it's a kind of emotional things that we need to create situations and circumstances to realize the peace. But if we are going with the flow, that teaching peace, that cannot be worked. So our methodology of peace building is completely different. We are creating platforms and situations based on the platform and situations, and people will realize. So if you see that our guardians are better care when it comes to peace. So everything is depending on the leader. If someone is misled, and it will make problems. That's why our guardians, when leading the teams, they care the peace. Basically, we are packing the peace with technology and entrepreneurships. So just like peace building, it's another kind of thing that it's very sensitive, that if you tell that I'm doing peace building, we cannot do direct peace building. It is very difficult to break someone else's belief system. For example, if I say just become non-racist or something, that will say, because they are inside that container, we cannot say we are doing peace building like that. So we can only let the people to realize the peace by creating many circumstances. So we organized many training programs that focus to solve root cause issues that stick with community problems and etc. So we are creating a common platform with the vision of empowerment. So these are our technical tools that we have developed so far, grassroots innovations for peace. So this is called the Project ISLE, Artificial Intelligence for Sustainable Local Peace Building. The main objective of this project is to maximize and tackle the hate speech in local languages. Even so, every social media has a hate speech monitoring system built with it, and it is listening for hate speech in English languages, but when it comes to local languages, there is no system. That's why we worked on this project, that it works on Sinhala and Tamil languages. Now you can see it will list that how many times a word is repeated and like that. So the another project we have worked with it called VISACT. It is called Visual Actions Project. And the basic fundamental of this project is to complain anonymous reporting. Like they can complain anonymously and we will take lead to take actions. So next I will give to Jayanthan. He will talk about peace building in circular economy.
So I would just I want to share something that it was really a difficult struggle that we had to get the visas for the team, and they flew almost like 2 days and 4 flights and lost their baggage and arrived last night. And this is the first time they left Sri Lanka. This is the first time they even took an aeroplane to come, and this is the first time they've even talking about this on an international stage. So that's why I'm like, very proud of our team. And so now it's more about how can we solve socioeconomic challenges and environmental challenges through circular economy in those underserved parts of the world. Jayanthan.
Thank you, Aravinth. So this is Jayanthan from DreamSpace Academy. As Guna said, like, it's not easy to teach peace, or it's not easy to convey peace. Like, it's kind of a lifestyle that we have to live. So DreamSpace is kind of a space where we provide safe spaces for young people to come up with ideas and come up with different solutions that can solve local problems, which can bring peace in the future. So that's the whole concept of DreamSpace. And I will pretty much talk about circular economy, and that's what I'm doing right now in DreamSpace. So rather than traditional businesses and traditional systems, like getting the raw material and go for production, and after the use we just throw them, and it's almost get into dung yards and wastelands and everywhere. So rather than just throwing them out, extracting raw materials from waste is one of the major focus of us in terms of circular economy. So what we are trying to do is like try to create raw material from the waste that have been accumulated in Sri Lanka. And it's not a system that obviously can be introduced just for Sri Lanka. It can be a system that can be adapted all over the world just by like taking some actions. So that's it. And yeah, I'll share some stories, interesting stories that happened in Sri Lanka, like in terms of waste generation. So this elephant was rescued in Ampara with 20 kgs of plastic. So what happens is we just throw our waste, and it got into dung yards, and it was in a passageway of elephants. So while they are going, they were eating, and like this became a national and international issue back in 2019. And in the meanwhile, like Sri Lanka is having the largest Asian elephant gathering in the world. So things are happening pretty much in Sri Lanka. And the next one is like Meethotamal landslide. Like there was a landfill which has grown massively, and after 10 years of garbage getting back again, like it completely collapsed. So about 20 people died. Among them, 5 of them are just kids and infants. So this also happened the next year, like 2019 and 2020. Then like all of us know, like plastic is getting accumulated, and like we just throw them in waterways and everywhere. So these plastics are getting accumulated, and like corals are pretty much affected, and the plastic is getting into our life, food cycle, and obviously ending it in our tummy. So it's obviously like all those things are interconnected and obviously affecting us in the far more future. So try to create a system that can reduce these kinds of effects and create a far beyond solution that can build a long-lasting impact in the future is a must, and that's what we are trying to do in Sri Lanka, and that we are trying to accommodate with the existing systems as well. So this is how some of the activities, like our procedures, are going on in Regeneration Lab. So we have different kinds of labs in DreamSpace Academy. We are trying to solve different kinds of issues. So I'm from Regeneration Lab, and so what we do is like we don't just particularly focus on issues and try to resolve it. We build as much as values in socio-economically for the particular issues. For example, let's say like we are going to create a recycling hub. So we try to encourage the local community to be a part of it, and we empower women. There are lots of women-headed families over there in the eastern part of Sri Lanka after 30 decades of wars. So we try to accommodate them as well, and we try to bring more value, social values into our system, so into our problems, to create a better impact. So that's what we are trying to develop into the Sri Lankan culture. So we create awareness from series of problems, and we have different stories. Like everyone is different, and when we are trying to reach out to people, like they bring up with different stories. For example, there was a boy in Hatton, like central part of Sri Lanka, who said like, we are interested in these systems, but we don't have money to solve this, and we don't have infrastructures. So what we did was like, we called him and put him into our life cycle, and currently he's going to our system and going to develop a socio innovation project in the future within 6 months. So kind of stories that we are creating through awareness programs, and we are trying to identify figures and people from these kinds of awareness programs. And then we collect the waste in different parts of eastern part of Sri Lanka, and we segregate them, and we do the regeneration work. It can be upcycling, it can be downcycling, or it can be recycling. So according to the waste, we are trying to create this economy in Batiklo, so that this system can be reproduced in all over, in different parts of Sri Lanka. So one of the priority is not to have a centralized system rather than having like big factories and owning big things. Like try to create a system that can be implemented within a certain community, so that it can be replicated all over the world in a much more simpler way than having a centralized system where everything is going there and doing there. So we try to like break that wheel so that we can tackle problems that are like large issues in communal basis, so that it can be scattered into pieces. So these are some of the innovations, grassroots innovations from our lab. Like we did this bicycle shredder back in 2017, where we don't have much infrastructure, we don't have anything. So we took one of my friend's bike, and like we are trying to like get the raw material from the waste, like completely from the waste, welding and doing the grinding works all by ourselves, and we produced this shredder, and we kept it in a beach so that the community can use it. So that was one of the earlier projects that we did, and which brings a lot of impact and communal participants in the future. And then we have a biodigester. This is quite an interesting story, because this boy, Fahim, is from a place called Otamavadi. This is also from eastern part, which is just near a landfill. So what he is trying to do is trying to create energy, a biodigester, and produce biogas from it. So this this project was encouraged by a lot of our investors and a lot of our mentors, because like he's from a community where the issue is there. So he's trying to develop it, and like the whole concept of bringing the community-based biodigester arose from there. So right now we are developing this project as a community project, where there will be different biodigesters in like 20 homes, and they will have a centralized, not centralized, like they will have a collection system for all 20 homes, and trying to develop kind of solution that are community-based with communal participation. So he's a great example how we do peace building in here. So this is an area affected by war, and this is an area which has been affected by this pollution, and which has been affected by this waste problem. But getting a community member from there and trying to resolve this issue is much more greater choice than a person from a different world is coming to solve this issue. So it's a kind of story that came across the biodigester. And we recently trying to do PET recyclings, paper recyclings, and acrylic recyclings. Those are some R&D work still going on. But soon these will be our next community innovation projects. And we have 100+ community members within our lab. And as far as, okay, thank you. As far as the, you know, the whole community of DreamSpace is over 1,000+, and like we have 4 ventures that has been impacted from us, and that's it. Thank you.
Thanks, Jayanthan. So it's a lot of excitement from our youngsters, you know, who are really, you know, excited about their work in those communities. And just since we have 2 or 3 minutes more, if any of you have any question, or if you have any suggestions or feedback, or anything that would be interesting, if there's anything. We can bring the mic to you if you have any specific question. Should we? Yeah.
Yes, you have been traveling so much that no one's asked you something. I'm really, well, congratulations, because I saw, the things I saw are amazing. In the practical way, how this convert in a social business? How far is to make this profit from this?
Yeah, so as we said in our model, we are building founders first, change makers first, and then an innovation second, and then third is the company building. So far in the DreamSpace, there are 19 ventures which were born, as one of them is the Trash for Trade initiative, which is doing upcycled product. In terms of the business, so for example, currently we are processing around 1,000 kilograms of plastic, majorly PET bottles, and then 20% HTP, which we grind, melt, and like make into products like buttons and buckles, which are going into another upcycled product, which is made from handbags made from a rice bag. And this has been sold to a German company, which is actually selling this in if I could say, it's a 200,000 euro revenue they are making by selling upcycled products. So this is just a small number, maybe for the big business, but it is about that impact that we can create from waste stuffs.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Anyone else? Okay. Thank you then. Thank you very much for being here and appreciating their talk. Thank you.